Welcome back to the Spartan Sports Podcast. My name is Thomas Chavez, and today I am joined by the Alex Mayer, Darren Baydoun, and Nug Love contributing writer Carter Fry. How is everyone doing today?
What is wrong
Dandy.
with you?
Very good.
I'm shouting you out.
Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right.
But yeah, I'm yes, I am.
And
doing
our
well
wonderful
today to
host,
really
Pistons
answer your
Powered contributor, Thomas
There we go.
Chavez.
Thank you, Alex.
Hey.
Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Pistons Powered or Pistons something?
Piston
Piston
powered,
powered.
yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Good times, good times. Not a lot to write about this offseason, but, well, there's a lot, but also not a lot because they're not playing.
There is a lot of 10 articles already. That's a lot. in
Yeah,
my
I
book.
think you're doing just fine.
I'm peachy. I'm just peachy. All right. Well, big news in college football today. I think we should just get started right away. College football playoff format may be changing. Darren, you're the one that brought this to everyone's attention. So if you could just go over the basics of it, I'd appreciate it because I'm not completely well versed in what's going on.
Yeah. So the basic premise, just to understand, is that now, granted, nothing has been. They still have to talk about, which I believe the talks will happen like in mid-June. So we still have some time to go before anything becomes officially declared. But the main crux of it is that it looks like that the playoff format will go from eventually will go from being currently 4 teams to 12 teams. So that would include presumably all 5 conference champions, and at large, the highest rated group of 5 team, and then all the rest being at large bids that obviously come from the highest other ranked teams from whatever conference. So at least in terms of me, I think there's nothing wrong with this. The main thing I'll compare this to is that everyone, like, we all love March Madness. We all love what it is. We all love the tournament, everything like that. Considering how popular college football is, even though this would only be something on a fifth of that scale, I believe, if my math is correct. Think about though how the kind of ratings that those will get, because you'll get all conference championship games now actually matter legitimately, like, because it's like you get a bid, you're in. It's like with college basketball, if you can win your conference, you're in. So that's going to make those games immediately become far more important than they have in recent years, or at least ever since the playoff became official. The group of 5 finally group of 5 teams can finally, don't have to complain anymore about feeling not getting the attention they deserve. They'll finally at least have a chance, to play for a national title. And it just gives it so much more intrigue, and there's so many more potential matchups, more potentials for upsets and everything like that. And we can not just have to talk about Alabama and Clemson every year for eternity, because dear God, it's like, please have something else other than that every year, because I can only take so much.
Yeah, this is actually really interesting because this has been something that everyone's been taught, like fans and like media people have been arguing for it for years now, since pretty much the college football playoff was introduced a few years ago now, multiple years ago, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity just to have some fresh teams in there, because now it's not, because it seems like every year it's Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and insert team here, and this like one surprise
Notre
team that you're
Dame,
not really expecting.
Oklahoma.
Now it's
Oklahoma.
if it comes to a 12 team like bracket, then finally you're going to have some more fluidity with who's in there and who's not, as programs are going to like those like 5 to 12 rankings change a lot from year to year. So like being able to have those teams all switch in and out is going to be really nice for the playoff and for just fans of those programs as well. I really like this idea. The fact that I think they said the top 4 get a bye week, I believe.
Correct.
And
Yep.
there are a lot of people saying that just means Notre Dame will never get a bye if they ever make it in, because they're not in a conference, which would be pretty funny that they would always have to go in. But I'm sure they probably wouldn't make it.
But I'm sure this would
that way.
encourage, if
Yeah,
that was an issue, it would encourage them to
This
join
is
one.
this may make Notre Dame think about maybe we might want to change that this year. Or something.
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be. I like it a lot better than just 4 teams. So I personally really enjoy that idea. Maybe Michigan State will sneak in there in a couple of years when they build their program back up.
Hey, we were good enough to get into the 4 teams and only the second year the playoff happened. So hey, by all means.
Yes,
and then we met Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys kept mentioning how it seems like every year it comes down to Alabama, Clemson, and then that third team, whether it be Notre Dame or Oklahoma. But I like this because it seems like every year we also get that one team that gets snubbed. This past season was Texas A&M. One year was UCF. Another year was Western Michigan. And I feel like now I'm honestly surprised that they're not opening this up to 6 teams and they're going as big as 12 teams. So, and that'll be interesting for scheduling and, if what bowl games they'll assign the games to. But, I feel like this will sort of change the margin of error for, teams that are for bubble teams. And I feel like it may, it'll not only this, larger tournament will not only attract more eyeballs, like Darren said, it's comparable to March Madness now. Granted, football, you don't have as many Cinderella stories as you may in basketball, but I feel like we're going to start seeing teams not only be more competitive in the regular season because they have a larger chance, but I feel like once that selection day comes around in early December, fans are going to be more happy with the committee because there's more slots available and more teams are worthy with the top 6 conference champions and 6 at-large teams. I think it's going to not only make for a competitive regular season, but a very competitive tournament. And I think this is good for the game of college football. So I'm all for this.
I mean, at the end of the day, more games equals more eyes, more money, more everything. Like I really can't see any downside to this. I really can't. Like this is, and it's rare that they actually because the NCAA is so known for just being stuck in their ways and everything they do and everything like that. But to see them actually be proactive, say like, all right, let's do this. And I don't know. I know we were talking about how this might be. I think 2023, but even still, it's only 2 years, so it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround for in terms of when this is going to get started. So just to see them just be like, yeah, let's do it. It's just like great, like great. We don't have to complain about this stuff anymore.
And on another note, this might single-handedly save Jim Harbaugh's career at Michigan because now he doesn't have to beat Ohio State to make the college football playoff. Good for him.
He needs to still beat everyone else, and that's not a guarantee. And that's never going to be a guarantee. So he's got to, it's. We'll
There's
see.
also other things going on at the moment that may affect Jim Harbaugh's legacy that we can save for another podcast episode.
Yeah.
I'm unaware of what's going on. I don't pay attention to Michigan football, so.
Oh.
I don't pay attention to much college football, to be honest, but I just wait until the season comes along, So I have no idea what's going on. I'll be interested to find out what that is later.
We'll clue you in after we're done recording.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and one other thing with this CFP expansion is, if you are going to have, the winner of each conference come in, or each big conference come in and play, it opens the door for teams kind of like a Northwestern, maybe, who have made a conference championship in recent years. They played Ohio State recently, in Indianapolis. And, if they can just win one of those games, they, could jump into the CFP and, seeing, a smaller school who, would never have had a chance, before, even though each year, it seems like they peak out, 15 to, 20, ish. So, we'll just have to see, how it goes for them. If, teams like Northwestern, smaller schools who, don't touch the top 10, in normal years, but with this expansion could make CFP if they're able to win a conference championship. So it'll be exciting to see.
Now we just got to see if they'll eventually go to a play-in tournament, because you know how great that worked out for the NBA. Why not college football, right? Right, Thomas?
Always back to the play-in tournament.
I still don't like that a 10 seed is involved. I enjoyed the play-in tournament though.
Hey, if you get games like the Lakers versus the Warriors every year, I mean, it's hard to complain with that. It's hard to argue with that because
Yeah.
I told y'all. I told you.
I will complain about that Pacers Hornets game though.
Oh no, the Eastern Conference sucked.
That was an abysmal play-in tournament. Oh my god. I don't think any of those games were close at all.
No, they were. No, they were not. They were not. No, I'll give you what the West. Great, like Warriors versus the Lakers, Grizzlies versus the Warriors. Like those games. Great. East, God, terrible. Everyone, terrible.
Yeah, not
the
looking
only
too
intriguing
good.
team. The only intriguing team in the East was the Wizards, and things didn't really work out for them all too well.
Yeah, they got a game.
They got in. That's all that
They got
matters. They got in. All right. Well, speaking of basketball,
perfect
playoffs,
segue, guys. That was a great
I know,
segue.
We just did a great job.
Did we plan for that or did we not? You'll never
It was all me. If I didn't bring up the play-in tournament, then we wouldn't be here right now. So
We'd probably
take it away,
be talking
Thomas.
about hockey if you didn't.
Oh, God.
All right.
We can
so
talk hockey.
I don't know hockey at all. I mean, if you
I
want a
can-
short segment about hockey, feel
I
free.
can tell you that. Let's see here. What's the score?
Maple Leafs still sucked. I mean, that's
The Maple Leafs are cursed, and the Vegas Knights currently lead the Colorado Avalanche 2-1 after the first period in Game 6, and they have a 3-2 series lead.
I will say
But,
it's weird that an expansion team made the playoffs in their first year, like the Vegas Golden Knights did a few
The
years
Cup
ago.
final.
Cup. They haven't missed.
Yeah.
They've been one of the best teams in the league for the past.
They
3
might want to rethink the how they let players be available, because that was weird.
The
Doesn't-
Seattle Kraken is about to be sick.
It doesn't hurt
That
that Marc-Andre Fleury was available to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach's not here though, so he can't complain about
I'll
that.
do a picture.
Just for the
Steelers,
record,
no LeBron.
We haven't talked
Oh, he
about
can't
LeBron.
complain about.
Look at that.
Hey,
Look at
this
that.
is
Oh,
not a LeBron podcast anymore. He's out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Sure.
Although he did
Yeah.
change his number
Always trying to stay relevant. Always staying
Yep.
relevant.
because of Space Jam 2. He's going to
I was
change
gonna
his
say,
number.
yeah, he
because
does have a movie
wears-
coming out, so he's gonna. Yeah, that conversation is gonna be coming up probably. Soon
yeah,
enough.
he's not really feeling the pain from the loss anymore because he's about to make millions next month.
Yeah. Good for him. But anyways,
Wait, hold on, Thomas, real quick before we move on. How excited are you on a scale from 1 to 10 for Space Jam 2?
I don't know. I don't know if you'll ever be able to top Space Jam 1.
The only way that it will top Space Jam 1 is if somehow or some way at the end he faces some kind of Michael Jordan representation and it just shows them just going back and forth and something like that. Because you know what? That's what deserves. You're trying to make a sequel, then hey, you talk about it, you're chasing the ghost, so go at them, do it. Why not?
You know, if Bill
It's your
Murray
movie.
showed up,
You can win if you want. It's your movie. You can win if you want. So just do it, man.
if Bill Murray shows up to save the day again, you know, it's going to be right up there. If not, we'll have to see.
I feel like
Bill-
this is going to be one of those sequels that has nothing to do with the first movie.
No, it probably does not at all.
Yeah.
I doubt it. But
What are the odds Jordan shows up?
I
Very
doubt
minimal.
it. I feel like he's just chilling in his house with a cigar, just like, ha, my movie was better.
LeBron's making a Space Jam 2? I took that personally.
So I made Space Jam 3.
I was gonna try and fit that line in there.
Jordan comes out of retirement just because of Space Jam 2.
Because
He's at like 55 years old.
Hey, he might bring.
Right.
Hey, I mean, honestly, is 50-year-old Michael Jordan might honestly be better than some players in the NBA right now. I'm not gonna lie. That guy.
he's talked about not wanting to face his own Hornets players one-on-one because he doesn't want to ruin their confidence. It's like, wow, really? I mean, listen, yes, you're the best of all time, but I mean, okay, Miles Bridges could probably jump higher than you can at this point. It's like, come on.
Hey, he's referring to like Cody Zeller. You know,
Okay, yeah, he could probably still be Cody Zeller.
Could Jordan beat Cristiano Felicio? 1000%.
Yeah, no,
There
okay,
you
yeah,
go.
yes. In those situations where he at 55 might still have more foot speed than those guys. Yes, I will give him that. I will give him that match.
I'll pay money to watch Michael Jordan versus Boban.
Oh my god!
Wow, that's
what a matchup.
you would need to make like
What
one of
a
those
matchup.
like
That would
special
be-
primetime events like they're doing with golf now with Rogers and DeChambeau.
Match, yeah,
Just
the match.
yeah,
Jordan-
the match, but NBA version. Boban versus Michael Jordan.
You
And
have
then you
the
can also
two-
do like Vince Carter versus Charles Barkley, or you can do like Shaq and Yao Ming. Just make a whole card for it.
You would have literally probably the nicest guy you could ever meet in your life versus the most ruthless competitor ever. Like that is such a like Jordan would so much crap, and Boban would probably just be like, he would just strung up, be like, okay.
Like these boxers are making bank with these pay-per-view events.
Yep.
Just get some NBA players, pair them up to do some one-on-ones.
That's a pay-per-view I'd pay for.
Pay-per-view, I would pay for that a million times before
Mhm.
I pay for a boxing PPV. So
Ultimate
I don't know.
one.
I'm just saying.
Bill Russell versus Walt Frazier or something like that,
Well, isn't that what the 3-on-3 league was for, or something like that? For bringing
I mean,
guys
those
out?
feature some like older NBA players, like Joe Johnsons and stuff
Al
like
Jefferson.
that.
Well,
But I'm
Allen
talking
Iverson
like
was
Charles
supposed to win,
Barkley.
he quit after a game or something like that, right?
Right,
Or
yeah.
something like that. I don't know.
But I'm talking like, Charles Barkley versus Ron Artest or something like that.
Phil Jackson
Like, that would
one-on-one
be
with
sick.
Pat
That would just
Riley.
turn into a fight. That would go 5 minutes, just turn into a fight, basically. I don't think that would. Those guys, gee, that just turned into a fight within 5 minutes. No one.
And so it'll
Yeah, and I
it'll
would pay
be
for
aired-
that.
It'll be aired on TNT, and then like in between games, they'll have like mini competitions with the guys from inside the NBA. They'll have like Ernie Johnson, or no, they'll have Kenny the Jet and Shaq take turns like racing to the big board screen that they always do.
Or like a
You guys know
mini
what I'm talking
dunk
about?
contest.
Yeah. And they almost tripped last time.
Yeah,
Oh, Shaq versus Ernie in a free throw competition. Let's do that.
they're-
My money's on Ernie.
yeah.
We were supposed to talk about playoffs, weren't we?
Yes, we were.
Yeah, God, such a tangent.
Oopsies.
Way off.
All
How
right.
is this Bucks Nets game like only 76-76 and there's 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter? They're playing
Back
defense.
in 04 with the Pistons, man. This is old
Yeah.
school defense.
Do the Bucks have a chance? Let's
Yeah.
start
I mean,
there.
fine. You can't say they don't. You can't say they don't have a chance. So I mean, yeah.
At this point, it's gonna have to go in 7, and I know that last week I said I liked the Bucks. I wish I could still say I liked the Bucks, but Brooklyn was dominant in those first 2 games, and yeah, Bruce Brown is the best player to ever touch a basketball court.
Jeez.
So
Well, I mean, I think back to like when the Cavs went LeBron and Kyrie, like the series before they beat Golden State in the finals, they played the Raptors and they destroyed Toronto in the first 2 games. But then Toronto came back at home, they won. They still lost the series, but they evened the series. So I mean, it wouldn't shock me to see Milwaukee just, show some pride and be able to tie it at home. I still think Brooklyn will win, but I mean, God, man, you have the 2-time MVP. Like, you gotta do better than that.
yeah,
Man. Like, come on.
Man, I
You
will
guys think-
say, like I originally said Nets in 7. I am now gonna say Nets in 6. So
I'll say
Can
Nets
the
in
that's
Nets-
how good they
7.
look.
I'm going from Bucks in 6 to Nets in 7 at this point.
I would probably say Nets and I honestly I won't be shocked. I probably wouldn't be surprised if it's Nets in 5. I'll give the Bucks respect though. I will say Nets in 6. But if it goes 5, I will not. Heck, listen, they could still lose this game and they could end up being 4. So like, I mean, really, none of that would shock me at all.
And yeah, exactly. The Nets could very well win this game and it'd be a sweep. So, but do you guys think that the Nets can win the championship without James Harden? Because you guys know me, and I've been saying all along that the Nets are not winning the finals. And I do not see James Harden coming back. That hamstring issue has been bothering him all season. It's not something you can just rehab and make it better and have him come back and play hurt. It takes time, and he's obviously came back prematurely. I don't think the Nets are winning at all.
I know what my answer is to that question. So take that.
And I can't wrap my head around Phoenix winning it all, because outside of Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and maybe Dario Saric, no one has playoff experience. Granted, they're playing really great basketball right now, but how long can they sustain that?
Listen, they've been great all year. So here's the one thing. I mean, will it give other teams more of a chance if Harden is off the floor? Yes, but in any series they play in, and this is even including if when they play Philadelphia in the conference finals with Joel Embiid, with how great he's been this year. But in any series they play in, do you seriously believe that? I mean, Brooklyn's going to have the best player on the floor as long as Kevin Durant's healthy. He showed yes, he is the best player left in this playoffs, in my opinion. You can argue about with the way Joel Embiid played this year, and obviously I know Nikola Jokic has was just announced as being the MVP. I mean, they deserve respect, but Kevin Durant is still that guy. And that guy was for the longest time considered to be at the very least the second best player in the world. So even without Harden, Brooklyn will still have arguably the best player on the floor in every game. And that counts for something. It counts for something when you can say that, even without Harden. And with Harden, they have probably 2 of the 5 best players in the world. So that's just too much. It's too much.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with my Nets Suns prediction for the finals. And to speak to Alex's thing about the no playoff experience, I don't know the answer to this question, but I don't know who has the most playoff experience out of any playoff team. But if I had to guess who has the most, the Lakers are probably up there, and the Suns beat them in round 1 easy.
Granted, with
no AD,
injured
and limping
LeBron,
again, listen.
Although that Lakers
Dennis
team put up more of a
Schroeder,
fight
who scored
than the
0
Nuggets
points
right
one
now.
game.
So,
well, the Nuggets don't. Listen, if Jamal Murray was healthy playing this series, I think we're looking at a very different. We're looking at what would I think be a great series. I think a great series of Jamal.
Yeah, they got Campazzo.
If Jamal Murray was playing right now, I think we would be considering the Nuggets as like a finals contender. But with him out, I feel like we're being like, they might have a slim chance at making the conference finals, but that's kind of all we're looking at here.
Well, part of the reason that the Nuggets got past Portland was because Portland doesn't play defense, and so the Nuggets didn't.
Their coach sucks.
The Nuggets didn't need Jamal Murray to go out there and put up a bunch of points because anyone could do it against how bad Portland's defense was.
God, what Damian Lillard did in that series.
Enes Kanter had a defensive rating in the 180s, which is abysmal. Yeah. They were not good on defense.
And I think Nurkic was right behind him, wasn't he?
Yeah, Nurkic was bad too. They were both like 180 and 170 something.
Well, when Nurkic was on the floor, they were like way better. But with him off, it was night and day. They were a million times worse. And that's why they won, because they capitalized when Nurkic was sitting on the bench. And because he got into foul trouble.
You think a guy like that would play better just because it's your former team. They traded you because they wanted to feature Jokic. It's like, have some motivation, go out there and like try and just do everything you possibly can. And he just, he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And that just shows it's like, yeah, they made that right decision. That was the right decision they made in getting rid of you and keeping Jokic. It was like, yeah, that was that right decision.
Yeah.
This was the year for the Nuggets, though. If Jamal Murray doesn't go down, this was the year for them with, the Lakers getting bounced in the first round. The Clippers, I don't think they're going to make it past Utah.
They would have had the psychological edge over them no matter what after the bubble. They knew it's like, listen, we beat you.
Yeah.
We came back against you. It's like, you can, what can you do against us? It's like, we already beat you. We already beat you guys last year.
Yeah. With the way Phoenix is playing right now, though, if they can keep this level of play up, I mean, they're definitely in the finals. I mean, I wish I could say that I'd have them winning it all, but I'm afraid of the Nets. I'll be rooting for them. Go Chris Paul.
I mean, I'm down with either
Good
Phoenix
time, but
against either the Clippers or the Jazz, because if it's against the Clippers, you obviously have Chris Paul versus, the team that he helped to become as relevant as they ever have with Lob City. And then if it's the Jazz, you have Donovan Mitchell up against Devin Booker in a 7-game playoff series. Now that is theater right there. That is entertainment. That would be awesome.
Yeah, don't count the Jazz out. Like, they have a legit fighting chance if they keep playing
listen,
defense.
I can remember back when we were at like the middle of the season, I still I picked the Jazz. I had faith in the Jazz. I picked them. They were number one, and they were number one all year. I picked them to get out of the West because why not? They're a number one team. It's like someone different has to. Maybe it's time someone different does it. I mean, they can. Once, especially if they're able to get Mike Conley back soon in the Clippers, in this series against the Clippers, I mean, I'm not going to be shocked at all because they play that well, and if they can't stop Donovan Mitchell, I mean, he outscored Kawhi and Paul George by himself. So I mean, that's just like the Clippers don't have anyone to go against that. You don't have a guard that can go up against him one-on-one, like what, Rondo or Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley's not even playing. He's not even a factor anymore. Doesn't even do anything.
He was just running around, doing nothing.
Around. Doncic just kept telling him you're too small and just basically made him completely irrelevant, which I'm sure Russell Westbrook, out of anyone in the NBA, probably was watching and like pointing at a screen saying, go away. Or something.
I mean, Patrick Beverley's definitely lost something with age because when he was in his prime, he was a legitimate great defender. Now he's definitely lost a step as he's gotten older, and defense fades, I guess, when you play such a physical style of defense that he did. It definitely is going to go away when you lose your athleticism. I don't think Patrick Beverley was a fraud in his prime at all, because he was whatever, but now he's a shell of what he was.
I can remember there was a thing where I think I forget what year he was, but he went up. It was like, I think it was after Durant left the Warriors, and he went up to Steph and was like, you had the last 5 years and the next 5 years are mine. And Steph was like, aren't you like 31?
You're older than me.
I saw that. I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty good, man.
It's so ridiculous that you almost have to respect his confidence.
Patrick Beverley has the confidence of Michael Jordan with the ability of Patrick Beverley.
No, people were listen. I remember everyone when the Clippers got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they were talking about them combined with Beverley being the best perimeter defensive team of like all time potentially on paper. Or something like, something like that. I mean, and it did, like, based on how they were at the time, like, it really did. But yeah, Beverley's at least in these playoffs, he has just gone so far down.
And his brand of defense really puts him at risk for as many injuries as he has suffered in the last few years. So, like I said, I think it's time for him to hang it up. His time has come.
I mean, maybe, I don't know if I'd say he has to retire. I mean, if maybe with better health he can get better. I mean, he's always been a good shooter. So if he can get back to being more average on defense and still have good shoot, I mean, he'll have a place somewhere.
Maybe he could be like a Udonis Haslem, where he just comes in every once in a while and like
ejected after
curses at a player and gets himself ejected, or like he was really good at screaming when he was on the bench during the bubble. That seems like all he did during the bubble was just scream at the other team and laugh at them when they missed free throws. So maybe he's good for that.
That's the other thing. He was an irritant. He got him in probably as well as any player in the league has for the past half decade or so, or something like
that. Oh man.
Moment of silence as we all watch the final minute of this Nets game.
I'm not being silent for an entire minute. Jesus. So gosh.
Blake Griffin, cool, dude.
I was gonna say, what, like, where were you? Like, what were we actually talking about?
We were talking about. I mean, we've been very loose on this whole playoff discussion,
which is good. This is good. We're having a good conversation.
No,
here.
it is. Yeah, this is fun. It's fun.
Can I take a moment to just acknowledge how great or how the Hawks are really surprising me, and how Trae Young in his first ever postseason is actually like balling out.
Yes.
Granted,
Love
they'll
it.
probably lose to the Sixers, but I didn't give them a chance against the Knicks. I thought for sure the Knicks were winning that series in 5-6 games, but instead they turned around and win that in 5, winning the 3 out of the 4 games winning the large majority of the games at Madison
Math is
Square
hard.
Garden. And yeah.
I mean, it was a gentleman. Yeah, it was a gentleman's sweep. So yeah, that's no. Oh, they score. Oh man, I didn't.
Drew
Yeah.
Holiday with a very clutch bucket in this.
I turned away
Bucks Nets.
Yeah, I was talking there. What happened? I
Um,
gotta watch the replay now.
No, I mean, listen, this is, and you know what, and good for Trae Young, because it seemed like the narrative was going to be like, oh, the Hawks could have had Luka Doncic, but they traded for him they decided to trade for Trae Young instead. It's like, listen, Trae Young, I mean, the guy started the All-Star game last year in only his second season, and he was averaging like close to 30 and 10 or something like that. And this year, puts up similar numbers, and they trade for Clint Capella, and they have a halfway decent defense. And Nate McMillan, after he came in as coach, they were basically like they were really good. They turned into a really good team, and their free agents panned out with like Bogdanovich and Gallinari and those guys and everything. So especially Bogdanovich, when he got healthy, he got really good. He was a great shooter for them. But no, I mean, this is why. I mean, listen, Trae Young, he was a top 5 pick for a reason, because this guy can go nuclear. I mean, he is, they call him Steph Curry light for a reason. I mean, he's capable of those kinds of plays, and you can still argue about, how he hunts for fouls, or how he's still, how he might never be a, more than a league average defender. But you know what? When you have a guy that can make plays like that, you're going to have a chance pretty much almost every night. So, I mean, he's just, this is showing like, yeah, he can be a killer. He can be a killer. It's like,
You think they wish they had Rondo right now?
No.
No. He wasn't playing.
Probably not.
He just doesn't. Rondo just wasn't
But
playing.
he's different in the playoffs. Playoff Rondo.
Rondo can. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I don't like Rondo. That's needless to say. Last week we talked about our least favorite players. Mine was Rajon Rondo. So that's where I'm at with him. Carter was hyping up his hatred for Paul Pierce.
Just a little bit. Honestly, I couldn't really think of like that many players, but like he's up there, especially after the whole poop story came out just a few years ago. Because you always saw the video like,
yeah,
went to the locker room, couldn't even walk, crying in agony, and then comes out in the second half just fine. And it's like, whoa, he's so heroic, or whatever word you want to use. And then you find out he just had to go number 2 really bad. So
hey, you know what? The Instagram, the Instagram live video he had that got him like basically fired from ESPN. I mean, hey, you got
was hilarious. That was hilarious.
hey,
What was he doing?
Fun. I'm not. Hey, it's like I wouldn't mind being in that house. I wouldn't mind being in his house for that. That seemed like a pretty good time. It did.
Was he trying to get fired? Why would you Instagram live that?
No, he was just super cross. That was
he
what
was
happened.
Very, he was just not at all. Did not give a single.
He was not in his best mindset apparently, but that's how it be. To speak on Trae Young real quick, I dislike how he draws fouls. Other than that, I think he's a very talented player. I'm going to move on from the fouls because every player does that. It's just really annoying. And I think the NBA needs to fix that because
you could talk about James Harden for his whole career.
I like when good defense is played, and it's impossible to play good defense when you're calling cheap fouls by having just someone run into you. And then also, much needed thing, everyone who talks about the Pistons and Blake Griffin relationship, no one cares that Blake Griffin is dunking on the Nets. Okay, like Blake Griffin had the best season of his career in Detroit. No Detroit fan is actually butthurt about Blake Griffin being successful right now.
No, I mean, listen,
That's what a butthurt Pistons fan would say.
Yeah, I won't lie. I'm a little aggravated, but I'm a little aggravated. That's all I gotta say.
But like, are you really that upset that Blake Griffin is having success elsewhere?
I wouldn't
He's in a
say
much smaller
I'm
role.
upset.
No.
I wouldn't say I'm upset. It's just like a little like really, you had this in the tank the whole time. Like, come on.
Okay, but if you were okay, it doesn't even matter if he was playing like this in Detroit this year. No team is giving up anything for the contract he was on.
Yes.
How about he just gives us a couple million more dollars on that buyout, and then I won't be as salty.
It
How
could
about
be
that?
worse. We could have had to stretch his contract.
Cough, Josh Smith. Cough, Josh Smith.
Yeah. Imagine paying Blake Griffin like $17 million for the next 5 years,
Oh yes, yeah, that would have been nice.
or $35 million for 2 seasons.
No, listen, it was the perfect situation for him to be in because he doesn't have to be the focal point on a team. He can. It's like there's probably the reason why is because he just doesn't have to expend so much energy having to be the primary scorer and ball handler. Like he can actually like reserve energy now to dunk like this for the first time in the last half decade for him. So it's it's like a lesser version of the way he was in Lob City. It's like he's just taking advantage of the opportunity. So I don't blame him. Like I
Plus,
feel
he
happy
has
for
to
the
stand
guy.
under the rim 'cause
Everyone
he's the
was
center.
writing him off as being just this. Everyone was thinking like, well, what does he even have left? Good for him to still show like, yeah, he can be something. He can help a team, like really help a team, like start and help a championship level team, win the playoffs and everything like that. Like I don't mind. And for the Pistons, I mean,
They're better off without him now.
yeah, you got the younger guys to be able to play, and look what that did. I mean, you look at what they were able to show with guys like Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and Killian Hayes when he came back and everything. I mean, you have legitimate. Those guys were played good enough this year. I mean, you could argue that the Pistons rebuild is actually right now maybe even ahead of schedule, like with how well those guys played this year. I mean, you have those are all guys that you're going to be able to build, at least be in the rotation going forward. So
If the Pistons get Cade, they're looking at the play-in next year.
that would be it. Well, the thing was, if they get either number 1 or number 2, or at least one of the top picks, it's always going to come down. Well, what happened what happened the last time they had a pick this high? Oh, Darko happened. That's what everyone's going to just keep talking about. And they're all going to try and be like, jinxing us and everything.
That was also the last time the Pistons had a pick move up in the lottery. That Memphis pick they had where they took Darko, they actually moved up 4 slots.
Yeah. And that was when they were a team that was going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And that would have been, yeah. No, this is
the year. This is the year I'm calling it.
Hey,
I won't be mad about any of the top 4 guys because Cunningham, Suggs, Mobley, and I think Jalen Green, like all those guys are supposed to be real. All of those guys are supposed to be, at least have really good potential. So, I mean, yeah, you want Cade, but I'm not going to be mad about if we're able to at least get within the top 4. Like, just get that.
As the writer for the Piston-powered site, the only guy I would not want is Suggs. And that is just because he does not fit next to Hayes very well.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I guess. But if you got number, I would argue that if you got number 2, that he's still probably the best overall player. I mean, do you not take him? I mean,
When you're up there,
they love Mobley.
Yeah.
From everything I've been reading and stuff, they have a very strong infatuation with Evan Mobley. And there was a athletic writer who said that they might actually want Mobley over Cunningham at this point, which I don't think is true.
All right, I don't know.
That just speaks to how highly they are on Mobley.
Mobley and Stewart as a center combo is definitely would be very, very intriguing. I don't know if I take him over Cunningham. I don't know if I do that. That seems like, I don't know. Cunningham seems as just the way he played at Oklahoma State this last year. He seems like a very safe, like as a number 1 pick, just very safe.
I only bring it up because that just goes to show how high they were on Mobley. Is that there's speculation that they like him that much. But,
the guy's got to be a top 4 pick, or at least top 5 pick, probably regardless. So he's high up there. He's got to be high up there regardless of that. So he deserves it. He deserves that kind of praise.
Yeah, there's I mean this isn't a Pistons podcast, unfortunately, because we have Carter here. I mean, if you want to talk about the Bulls for a hot sec, go ahead. I mean, it's on you, but you do you.
Yeah, I mean, nothing huge has been happening with the Bulls. It seems like a lot of the fan base is kind of turning on Lauri Markkanen at
Fair.
this point. That most people.
Sorry
are
to hear
just
about
kinda-
Kobe White.
Yeah, he got shoulder. I guess that's some Bulls news today. It was announced that he got some shoulder surgery. Seems like he'll be all right though. Kobe White also did get a haircut. Got rid of the fro.
Oh
No.
no! Come on.
I showed my dad, he's a pretty big Kobe White fan, and showed him a picture of his new haircut and didn't recognize him at
Yeah,
all.
I gotta
I
Google it.
will
I gotta see it
say,
now.
Kobe White, guy I love to watch, would hate to have him on my team.
Is it on
He's
his
so
Instagram?
inconsistent, but he's very, very fun to watch.
He's
I
very
think it might have
entertaining,
been
but he'd be
Instagram.
very frustrating to have on your team.
I think he's going to be
Very much so.
Is that it?
Yep, that is it.
I mean, it's clean. I can't deny it. It's a clean cut, but yeah, that's. I
That's
think
the
he's
pro.
gonna be. He seems like the perfect kind of guy, the perfect kind of like point guard, gunner that like more maybe more of a Jordan Clarkson type where he's just more suited to being a gun like more of a gunner type off the bench. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, listen, he could have you look at like how good Will has been like for his whole career. That like you can
Right.
be great. You can be a very important player. Even if you're even in that kind of role. So like. But I don't know. He just seems like he just doesn't seem like he's just not like a natural. He just doesn't strike me as being that kind of natural, more natural point guard in that sense. Not that he can't make plays, but he just seems more at home as a shooter.
He doesn't seem like the facilitator that you'd expect as a point guard.
Right. He's short enough to where you'd think he'd play the point guard position, but he's more of a two guard with a little bit of a facilitating role that's a little shorter.
I mean,
He's
Zach
very reminiscent of a Lou Will, who I have compared him to before.
I mean, as long as Zach LaVine's there, he's gonna have the ball in his hands most of the time anyway. So that's gonna be that.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have today, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
that was a good.
Anything else that we haven't already gone over?
I
Like, we've
mean,
gone all over the place. with
We
this.
went. I think we touched on just about everything you possibly could. We
We
didn't.
talked about Boban versus Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please make that
That
happen.
was a highlight.
Just what a freak show thing that would be to do. Like,
I'd pay a lot of money to see that, though.
I would pay money. I would pay money to see that. I would
And
pay
if
money.
there's something that we didn't talk about, down in the comments.
Yes.
Hey,
Also, comment your dream pay-per-view basketball
Yes.
one-on-one matchup.
Yes.
They have to be at the age they're at now, though. They can't be in their prime. It has to be at the age they're at now. So, like 55-year-old Michael Jordan and Boban, dream matchup. In the comments, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. This has been the Spartan Sports Podcast. As always, thank you for watching. If you made it this far,
Actually,
Aaron
I
has
have
a thing to
a
say.
really quick idea. An old man dunk contest between Jordan and Dr. J. How about that?
and
that
Uncle Drew.
Throw Uncle Drew in
just
there.
have
I like
Kyrie
it.
Irving show up
What?
dressed as Uncle Drew.
Copy out this. No.
You got to do it for the love of the game, young blood.
No, get all the NBA players that were in Uncle Drew and have them play 21.
There you go.
It's every man for himself.
Yeah.
Oh, just like 1v1v1v1v1.
Yeah, yep, 21.
Oh, that's
so
fancy.
yeah, Reggie
Nate Robinson
Miller.
ain't gonna have that cloud anymore since he got knocked out. So that he might take a hit with that. But it's just
Nate Robinson.
yeah, he got knocked out by Jake.
Oh
Paul.
yeah,
Yeah.
poor Nate Robinson.
That was not a good look for the NBA.
If only he had the same like energy as Chad Ochocinco. Because when Ochocinco lost the other day, I
At least
don't even know who he was boxing, but he's just like, I'm going to get McDonald's now or something like
Yeah,
that.
he can get a lot of McDonald's if he wanted to.
He said he was ready for McGregor, man. He's like, yeah, I think I'm ready for McGregor now. I'm like, you are out of your mind. I'm like,
He's just got,
He got his
And
money. and he
honestly,
was out of
I
it.
don't think he can, with that attitude though, you can't be embarrassed when you lose because you've just got that attitude of like, I'm
I mean, he went the
enjoying whatever
distance
I'm
at
doing.
least, didn't he? He didn't get knocked out. He went.
No, he went the distance, but
Yeah.
I think they said he lost.
Yeah, no, he lost. He lost.
Yeah.
Because
Anybody
I was at
Anybody
Buffalo.
that loses to any of the Paul brothers in boxing really can't be super embarrassed because, they might have lost, but they made like
lot
a
of money.
giant bag
Yep, they made a
in
lot
the
of
process.
money. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, here's a boxing match: T.O. versus Ocho Cinco. Yes.
ooh,
T.O.
Yeah.
versus Donovan McNabb.
Oh.
Joe Flacco versus Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I got my money on Fitzpatrick every time.
I was about to say, what guys that you'll ever see in a boxing match, like ever or something like that? I don't know. But actually, I put my money on Fitzpatrick.
All right. Well, we've extended this way too long.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We will see you next week on the Spartan Sports Podcast. Bye.